Right, okay, so now we've had a look at some of the introduction to Excel, and we've also had a look at some of the formulas. I just thought I'd go through a quick example on how to set up a graph or a chart based on information that's already existing. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to Delegate Activity 2, which is the reports one. So I'm just going to open that up now. And I'm just going to find some information. So already on here on the worksheet, probably the personal sales record worksheet. So what we're going to do is create a chart or a graph out of this table of data here. So there's a couple of things that we can do to make it read a little bit more easily. First of all, is the first thing we're going to do is we're going to just make sure that it's formatted in a nicer way because it's quite hard to read. So I'm just going to click on the format on the home tab, click on format on the home tab, and I'm just going to select a different color. Now, obviously, I've got a slightly different theme on this spreadsheet, so it's bringing up slightly different colors, but if you're unhappy with that, you can change the colors anyway. I'm just going to go for this kind of black theme here, and that has made that just a little bit clearer for us. And what I'm now going to do is I just want to insert a graph or a chart into the spreadsheet. So I'm going to highlight the data. I'm not going to put the total sales on because actually I'm not really looking at total sales, because actually I just want to compare the information between January and December, and I want to see like which persons made the most amount of money in which region. So I'm just going to scroll down, leaving the total sales value off. So it's between A1 and O, what's that, or O41. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my insert tab at the top. And again, I can select any of these particular charts that I'd like, but because I want Excel to do the work for me, I'm going to ask Excel to recommend a chart. I'm going to click on recommended charts. What Excel's telling me now is that it can't actually give me any recommended charts because the data, there is so much data there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go flip back to all charts, and I'm actually going to start looking at what charts are available to me. So you can see that there is a lot of data. They are quite busy charts. But I think for my instance, for this particular example, I'm going to go for this chart here. That looks like it's a good chart there. And we've got lots of data there on there. So let's select that one. Click on OK. And then what's now happening is that it's now building that chart for us. It'll make the chart slightly longer and bigger. I'm just going to stretch it right across the screen. There we are. And as you can see, it's given me insights into everybody's data throughout those months. So it's quite a lot of months. There's quite a lot of January, February, March, April, and so on. So actually what we can do is we can actually filter some of that data out. So if I just wanted to look at comparisons for January, I can deselect all and just select January. And then that makes my chart a little bit easier to read. So it's just going to take a minute for that to update. So let's hit the apply option. And now we can see that actually the chart becomes a bit clearer. So although initially we had all of the months there for every single person, so we had 12 months of data for every single individual. And although we selected that data, it looked very, very busy. It has given us the opportunity to go in and filter down on that particular information as well. So this is showing figures for January. And what we can also do is we can actually add data labels and stuff to it as well, so we can actually look at the monetary figures, and so we're not there guessing that information. And what we can do as well is we can look at maybe look at January and July's figures, so hit the apply option, and just to see if there was any difference in some of those figures between our parties. So this, for example, here we can see that Cleo had quite a low amount in January, but had a really high figure in July. And likewise, we have Boimer here, who's got kind of similar figures between January and July, and so on. You can actually really read the data really, really well. So again, don't be too off-put. If you've got a lot of data, don't worry about that too much. As long as you get all the data into the chart, you can actually then filter down the data to make it easier to read and more understandable. Now, when you're using charts, what does happen is you get this extra chart functionality that opens at the top. So this allows you to look at the different formats and functions of your chart. So and it also allows you to move the chart. So in this instance, we've got a very big chart And actually what we don't want to is actually overhide all of the information that's in the table behind. And that's exactly what it's doing at the moment. So what we can do, as long as we're clicked onto the graph itself, we can click on the move chart option. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to put it into a new sheet. So we'll call it chart one, which is what it's already named. Okay, and what we'll do is click on OK. And as you can see at the very bottom, it's now created a separate area or a separate entity called chart one. Okay, next to the personal sales record. So we know that this information here relates back to this table here. Okay, and likewise, if we wanted to filter that data again, we've got all the filter options that are still there. It just makes it a little bit easier and cleaner to see. Okay, so if you wanted to move it back, say for example, actually we don't want it like that. We want it with the data. We're going to send that to somebody else and want to make it easier for them to find. Again, you can click on the chart, go to the chart information at the top, and you can move the chart to another place. You can actually put it back into the area. So you just select where you would like it to go. And this came from the personal sales record. I'm going to click on OK, and actually that chart will disappear, and it will then be put back into the original place where it's come from. So you can see that actually charts, again, are very universal. They're very easy to use. They are very intuitive within Excel as well. They're not too cumbersome. And as long as you've got the right amount of data and you've got the data there, you should be able to make a chart really quite easily and really quite straightforward.